Every day we wake up, we somehow get disappointed in some way, shape, or form. For me, my AC hasn't worked over the past 3 days, so I just been sweating up a storm. For some, maybe Starbucks didn't make their mocha latte, or I don't know what they're called. Or for some, they believe that the game that they like the most shouldn't be tied with another one that they think is trash. Yeah, today we're talking about the Genshin Impact versus Sonic community drama, video game award drama. Yep, It's pretty interesting. So over the past week, the Game Awards have been hosting a Player's Choice Players Award where you vote for what game you think is the best this year. And they made the one crucial mistake that I don't really know how they did it, but they somehow did, which is they showed the results after you voted. Now, I'm pretty sure I don't need to explain why it's a bad thing, but I'll do it anyway. The reason it's bad is because once you see what people are voting for, then it starts to lead people going on a tirade, going into other communities, talking trash. They're trying to see, why is this one getting votes, but this one isn't? What can we do to get these votes up? Pretty much things like that. And for the Genshin versus Sonic drama, that's exactly what's been going on. So what you're seeing right now is round 3 of the results for the games that were going against each other, which was Genshin Impact, Sonic Frontiers, Stray, Elden Ring, and God of War Ragnarok. Now, the problem with the results that you see right now is because they're showing the results already. Like, once you put in your vote, you can already see what the results are. It isn't one of those situations where you can see the results after like the voting period is over. It's more like, oh, you made a vote. Guess what? You can now see where your favorite game is right now. It's honestly a feature that shouldn't have existed to begin with, and I still don't know why they let that go through to begin with. Now, if you keep up with the gaming space, then it looks kind of weird to see those games at the top, considering Sonic Frontiers really wasn't that great of a game. It was passable, but it wasn't great. And then Genshin Impact has been around for over 2 years now. And so it makes you wonder, how are these games even beating Elden Ring or God of War Ragnarok? Even Stray, for that fact. Like, don't get me wrong, Stray is a good game. I like Stray. Genshin Impact's a great game. Sonic Frontiers, it's decent for what it is. But Elden Ring and God of War, 2 of the biggest releases of this year. And you would think with 2 big juggernauts like them, they would be dominating the charts, but they're not. Now, I do understand it's the Player Choice Award, so it boils down to which community is the loudest or the most dedicated. But for me, for what the category was trying to go for, it doesn't make sense for the games they put in there. But to be honest, in the end, it really doesn't matter anyway. And so for the tweet I'm showing you, I'm going to blur out their information because I don't want no one to go and send harassment or try and do research or dig into them, because I don't know how this video is going to do and if it does take off. And so I don't want people from the Genshin community to go and try and find them or attack them just because they have their own opinion. But they said Genshin Impact, the game with aggressive monetization and mechanics, is currently winning at the Game Awards because they're bribing their players to vote in-game rewards. It's currently winning at the Game Awards because they're bribing their players to vote in-game rewards. Super cool direction the game industry is headed towards. You too can win the Best Art Award. Just lock all your art behind a paywall and tell your players that they can see it by voting you for the Best Art Award. So of course, with me being a big Genshin Impact fan, I felt like 1% attacked reading that, but I think the tweet's a little silly just for the fact, if you think that Genshin Impact and having people say, hey, come vote for our games, and you might get some in-game rewards, even though they never stated that specifically, it was just people assuming that you think the game industry is now heading towards a shit direction, you're super naive and you have not been keeping up with anything that goes on in this space at all. You can pretty much go to any game that's being nominated and you'll see that they say, hey, vote for our game. And whether or not they offer rewards, that's up to them. But more times than not, they just say, hey, vote for a game. And that's exactly what happened with Genshin Impact. Now, the reason why this user says that is because typically when Genshin Impact wins a award or some form of a nomination, they get chosen, then they give out Primo Gems, which allows you to pull for your favorite character in the hopes of you getting them. But typically it's like 10 wishes, which is 10 pulls. But Genshin Impact never officially announced that was going to happen if they won the Game Awards. It's just going off of what happened last year when they won. And then they gave out enough primos to make like 10 wishes or so. So that's where the whole notion of that came from. And so what really got the floodgates going was someone said, can you please tell what the garbage started showing in response to the API/stats/bracket. A couple hours ago, there was this long string of text, object and rest seems like EUC-CN encoding does like Chinese bots to me. All this, which I don't know anything about coding or development, or I honestly couldn't tell you what none of this means. And then they go to say it's hard to say if these votes are bots, but starting from 8:10 a.m. Genshin Impact is getting 1,300 to 1,950 votes per 10 minutes, and this high number keeps going on for 4 straight hours without any significant drops. And then they provide these pictures to say, hey, it looks kind of scummy, this might be fake. Genshin Impact fans might be using bots to push themselves to the top. And then that same user goes to say, so I got confirmation that it's easy to vote more than you should. Please either fix your defenses or nullify results of the third round because it won't represent player's voice. And then a user replies back with the graph showing that Sonic Frontiers is getting a shitload of votes pretty fast, while the rest of the votes that are coming in as time progresses are like over here for Genshin. Sonic Frontier starts having like major spikes. And then the original user says, yeah, this is confirmation I was talking about. You can check Stray too. I don't know why my friends decided to add this much votes to just test the exploit. Now, for those that are wondering, this is how people were able to see the graphs and the information. It was at thegameawards.com/API/stats/bracket. And once you try to go there, it doesn't work anymore. It's pretty obvious that there was bots being used in some way, shape, or form for both Sonic and Genshin. It was confirmed because they literally started hiding the results after this. Once all the tweets started going out on how people were using bots and manipulating the votes, the access to the API went away and the results seen on the Game Awards itself, you couldn't see that no more. It was hidden. So something was going on in some way, shape, or form. Now, whether or not those numbers are accurate or the people in the tweets who said, hey, I'm using a bot and I'm pushing up them numbers, whether or not that's true, I couldn't tell you, to be honest. But it's clear that something was going on, or else the Game Awards wouldn't have done what they did last minute. It wouldn't have gone to the effort to hide the results and to stop access to the API. Overall, I think this whole thing is pretty silly. I don't know why you would go through so much trouble to try and fake votes for an award that doesn't really matter overall, and you're not even guaranteed anything in the end anyway. I think what makes it even worse is the Game Awards didn't even make a statement or at least acknowledge that something was going on like that. But on the other hand, I kind of know why, because if they acknowledge something like that is going on, then it starts to make people want to question if the legitimacy of other votes that was going on by the players is even real themselves. So I can understand why they wouldn't do it, but I still think it's a bad look, in my opinion, to not even say, hey, we see that there's concerns among the community about people using bots to fake votes, and we are looking into it, and we have done XYZ in the meantime to try and verify that the votes that have been put in are real and not bots. That would have been perfectly fine in my opinion, but hey, it is what it is. But overall, it's just a game, dog. It's just enjoy it. Also, please note that 1 or 2 bad apples from one community doesn't represent the entire fan base. I feel like so many people overlook this too much. Just because one person is a bad apple does not represent the entire fan base. That goes for Sonic, Genshin, God of War, any fan base in general. It's just because those 1 or 2 people that end up doing that shitty act gets in the eyes of people, then they start to say, oh, the entire fan base are cheaters. They don't want a fair vote. They don't want a fair win. When the reality is most of them don't even care or even know what's going on either. So it's just silly. Just play your games and have fun. Anyways, made this far into the video, consider giving it a like, subscribing to the channel, leave me a comment below on what you think. Have a great day. Yeah.